And I'm back with more Danganronpa. Makoto got outed as the killer in Kyoko's place and is now at a trash chute. So, it is time to figure out why he's in there. It was apparently a coercive technique. Alter Ego showed up. Kyoko got Monokuma cornered. So now we need to keep going. Hooray, I started a video without dropping my controller this time. Let's go. Is that an airplane? How did something like that wind up in the school's garbage pit? That's a rocket? And a tank? I'd better not think too much about what I'm seeing down here. It's locked. No matter how many times I push or pull or kick, it won't budge. Getting out of here is not going to be easy. Well, it's not as if I'm getting out of here anytime soon. I decided to look around for some food. In a garbage dump? There's plenty of food here, but it's all rotten. That was pointless too. Next I searched for some water. How can I be sure of which liquids to drink? Which ones are all around bad idea? Again, pointless. I feel like I'm blocked in at all sides. That's still not enough reason to give up because I'm still alive. And as long as I'm alive, I'm never gonna give up. After making that proud declaration, the next thing I decided to do was go to sleep. That was the only way to preserve what little energy I had left after not being able to eat or drink. I can't be sure, but I think a full day had to have passed. All I did was sleep and sleep. It felt like I was waiting for some kind of sign to come falling out of the sky. However, what fell from the sky wasn't a sign. Not exactly. What the? A strange sound pierced my silent isolation, jarring me awake. As I watched, the pile of garbage jostled and formed an odd shape. Did something fall down here? Something fell from above. What could it have been? Did a giant piece of trash just fall down here? I stretched my hand toward whatever it was.
Just a second.
A giant piece of trash? Rude. Before she'd even emerged from the pile of trash, I knew who it was.
It smells awful.
Ugh. Aw, man, cup noodle? Kyoko?
Indeed.
You look like you're doing better than expected. What are you doing here? Isn't it obvious? I'm here to help you. I'm glad to hear that. You've got a bit of garbage on your hair. She gave her head a quick shake to get rid of the trash, then faced me again.
Hey.
First, I have something for you. Go ahead and eat it. We can talk once you're finished. Thank you! Within seconds, it was in my mouth and making my way towards my stomach. Oh, that really hit the spot. Now I've got all the energy I need to keep going. So you still haven't given up, then? Of course not! After all, the fact I can keep going forward is about all I'm good at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not such a bad thing to be good at. But, Kyoko, why did you come rescue me?
So...
To pay a debt. Or, no, to atone. Atone?
You...
During the trial, even though you knew I was lying, you didn't say anything. So you knew what I knew.
Indeed.
But even though I knew, I did nothing to help you. I abandoned you. Don't say that. You didn't abandon me. No, that's exactly what I did. I abandoned you in order to save my own life. You were trying to save me, and I couldn't bring myself to do the same for you.
However...
But listen, not that I'm trying to make excuses, but there was a reason I had to survive, no matter the cost.
It's true.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything. The reason I have to survive
In other words...
is so that I can do what I came to this school to do. What? I made up my mind to come to Hope's Peak Academy for one very important reason. So you have some reason?
Indeed.
That's right. At least I did. Once. Once? Until recently, I'd forgotten what it was. That's... Then, is it really true? You lost your memory?
Makoto.
Do you remember? Do you remember the first thing that happened to each of us as soon as we arrived at the school? You're talking about when we fainted, right? I fainted when I woke up. Or faded, and when I woke up, I was trapped here.
That's right.
I fainted too. And when I woke up, I noticed a strange feeling of separation within myself. A disconnect.
It would seem...
Thinking back on it now, at that point my memory was gone. At that time, I'd forgotten. I couldn't remember why I'd come to the school. I couldn't even remember what my ultimate ability was. But what would make you forget all that?
Hey.
Strange, isn't it? It's hard to imagine it happening by chance. It seemed much too convenient. Are you saying you think you lost your memory because...
Indeed.
I don't think. I'm positive. It was the work of the mastermind. They stole my memory. But why would they do that? There's only one reason I came up with. Because of my purpose and my ability. Somehow, they would interfere with the mastermind's plans. So the mastermind just stole them from you?
However...
And it could also mean somehow my memories may be connected to the mystery of this school and the mastermind. Which is why I have to get them back. That's why I've been investigating things by myself this whole time. But if what you say is true, why didn't you ask the rest of us to help you?
Why is that?
If I did that, and we all worked as one, the mastermind would have noticed right away. Plus, there's always the chance that the mastermind is actually one of us.
Correct.
What? Well, don't make too big a deal out of it. It's just a possibility. But since it is a possibility, we can't ignore it, right? A mastermind. One of us. If she believed that, then of course, she couldn't trust anyone around her. In which case, it only makes sense that she would look into her missing memory for herself.
However...
That being said, there was a limit to what I could do by myself. Which is why I asked you to help me. But why me? Because among everyone, you were the least likely to be the mastermind. That was just intuition, but I see. Your intuition was right, though. There's no way an ordinary kid like me could be a mastermind.
I understand. My goal isn't to get out of here. It's to stay here.
It's just like the dream I had before. What just happened? Are you okay? Yeah, it's nothing. It is nothing, right?
Hey.
Even now, I still trust you, you know. It's just, I'm not used to relying on others.
Correct.
I know I never asked you to help the right way, so I understand if you're not convinced. Honestly, I was convinced. I think that's just your personality. You said you had a reason for doing all of this on your own. So, how did that turn out? Were you able to remember anything?
So...
I think there's still a lot I don't remember, but at the very least, I was finally able to recall my purpose and my ability. You mentioned your ability. What everyone should at least have known me for. I'm the ultimate detective.
Correct.
And the reason I came to Hope's Peak Academy was there was someone I had to find here in the school.
So,
Well, it was the headmaster of Hope's Peak Academy. The headmaster? Why did you want to find them? Because he's my father. I forgot that part. What?
in other words,
I was separated from him as a child. As it turns out, he became the headmaster of Hope's Peak. Kyoko's dad is Hope's Peak headmaster? Then that explains when Alter Ego told us how he thought the headmaster was involved.
Huh?
No matter what? So...
My memory hadn't completely come back at that point. But when he said that, I felt strange. It makes perfect sense now, of course, since my whole purpose for coming here was to find him. Sorry. I can feel stuff coming up my throat. That makes sense.
However,
But listen, Makoto. I want to make this perfectly clear so there's no misunderstanding. I said the headmaster wasn't the mastermind, but I didn't say that to protect him. I only said what I felt based on what I'd seen when I snuck into the headmaster's room. What did you see in there?
so...
The room had been ransacked. The shelves were a mess. The desk drawers dumped on the floor. The only conclusion is that someone who didn't know where anything was had been in there. You mean the mastermind, right?
It's true.
That was my assumption, yes. Now to confirm my suspicion, I decided to investigate the second floor of the dorms using this key that I found. But why there? Because I also found this in the headmaster's room. Is this some kind of map?
Indeed.
It's a layout of the entirety of Hope's Peak Academy. I found it in the headmaster's room, along with Mukuro's profile and that key. The map showed that the second floor was home to a number of rooms meant for faculty use. Some of the staff must have had to stay overnight from time to time, and I figured the headmaster would have had some kind of private room. I assumed if that were true, the room would likely hold clues, so I went to check.
Correct.
And that's when I finally remembered. I remembered that my purpose was to find the owner of that room. So you went there to see if he really did have a private room?
However,
But once I got there, I noticed that the second floor of the dorms didn't have any cameras or monitors. What was it like? It's hard to describe. All I can say is, the moment I saw it, I realized whatever's going on in this school is more horrific than we imagined. Wait, what do you mean?
so...
I can't explain it. You'll need to see it for yourself, and I'm sure you'll get the chance soon enough. Sounds like it must be important, and really ominous.
However,
Of course, once I got there, I had no idea what was going on with the rest of the building. It has to do with Mukuro, doesn't it?
however,
Just to be perfectly blah. Just to be perfectly clear, I didn't kill her, and I knew it wasn't you either. I know you're right, but that just means everyone but you and me had an alibi. So, then who did kill her?
anyway,
What I can say for sure is that the mastermind is directly involved. To begin with, the point of the class trial of Mukuro Yusaba was to get me killed. Get you killed?
indeed.
I stole that key and disappeared, and in retaliation they wanted to draw me out and eliminate me.
Correct.
That was the point of the class trial. It was? The mastermind knew they couldn't interfere directly, because of the school regulations.
That's right.
Exactly.
In other words,
The mastermind is adamant about following the rules, and with that rule in place, they couldn't step in. Since they couldn't kill me themselves, they tried to use the class trial to do it. They couldn't step in because of the rules? It makes it sound like mastermind themselves is somehow bound by the school regulations.
Hey.
There's one other thing I'd like to point out about the murder of Mukuro. There was a point where Mukuro may not have become the victim. It could have been you, Makoto. I could have been the victim?
Indeed.
You know what I'm talking about, right? During the night, I can hear them, you know. The footsteps of the god of death. I can hear the god of death as he moves. That ability naturally draws me to cases just like this.
Anyway.
Which is exactly what happened with you. I was in the dorms, and I had a sudden sense of dread. I looked down the stairwell, and I saw a white shadow cross the corridor. I gave chase right away. As I followed it, I saw the shadow go into your room.
Correct.
I ran into your room, and I saw what was happening. I intervened immediately, of course.
However,
that wasn't the end of things, of course. I stopped them, but that led to whoever the masked assailant was, they ended up dead.
correct.
And their murder was disguised. And the dojo key wound up in my room. It all was the work of the mastermind in an attempt to use the class trial to eliminate it. So all that would mean is whoever killed Mukuro was also the mastermind?
Indeed.
I don't have any conclusive evidence, but that's what I think. But if that's really true, it means the mastermind can kill whoever they want when they feel like it. But doesn't that create another contradiction? The mastermind wanted to use the class trial as a means to kill you because they couldn't interfere, right?
Correct.
You're right. That is a contradiction. And it's not just Mukuro. They needed the class trial to kill me, but seemed ready to kill you in your room. Everything they did is a contradiction. What does it all mean?
In other words,
It means the mastermind is the one who's been cornered.
Makoto.
Just a little more. A little more, and I should be able to figure out the mastermind's identity. The identity of the other ultimate despair. The other? There's no doubt that Mukuro is the ultimate despair, and that she's dead. But I don't think the ultimate despair is just one person. It's not?
Indeed.
If you think about it, the ultimate despair seems to be whoever seems to implicate whoever caused that event.
That's right.
What happened a year ago, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. The tragedy. Whoever started that was the ultimate despair?
It seems.
That despicable group whose only purpose and motivations come from despair. Then you're making a mistake. They're the root of all evil that forced us to go through with this. That is the ultimate despair. And our real enemy. I'm starting to kind of fill in the exact gaps of things as to how to corner the mastermind now that I've seen all the events again. Alright, I want to at least get out of the trash room. Right now, we have to get out of this weird place. Figuring out the rest of the story will come afterwards. Yeah, you're right. Kyoko, do you still have that one thing? Monokuma's secret tool that you got from the headmaster's room?
Indeed.
Of course I do. It's an absolutely vital part of ensnaring the mastermind. I would never part with it. And I can open any door in the school, right?
That's right.
I should be able to use it on that door. Kyoko took out the key with the Monokuma design and used it in the keyhole. It opened!
Indeed.
And now we can get out of here. Let's go. Sounds good. We quickly opened the door and made our escape from the garbage pit. Finally. We were finally free. But there wasn't even a time to take a breath of relief, because the real fight had just begun. Ugh. After leaving the garbage pit, we found ourselves in a tunnel extending straight up like a chimney. There was a metal ladder leading into the tunnel. We started climbing the ladder, intent on reaching the surface. Gee, did you need to show that? Did you need that camera angle, game? I know you're chintzy, but come on. The ladder was impossibly long. I couldn't even see where it ended. We climbed into the darkness. The passage was so dark and cramped, I couldn't even see my own feet beneath me. I had no idea we were so far down. Don't lose your footing. If you slip, I won't be able to catch you. Yeah, I'll be careful. But now that you said that, I'm getting kind of nervous. Maybe talking will help keep my mind at it. So, Kyoko, there's something I want to ask you. You said you're the ultimate detective, right? How long have you been doing detective work? How long?
So...
Ever since I can remember. I came from a long line of detectives. Detective work is in my blood. There was a time when being a detective was considered a sacred duty. My family has always seen it that way. Then, is your family famous?
Wrong.
Quite the opposite, actually. Even among actual detectives, most people haven't heard of us. But how come? It's like your family tradition, so...
Right.
Because we take pride in it.
Indeed.
Pride? A detective is neither light nor shadow. We represent neither justice nor evil. That's just how we can uncover the absolute truth. We stand neutral in all things, and to do that, we have to stand separate from the rest of society, which is why we make a conscious effort to conceal our existence. A conscious effort?
It's true.
It's kind of old-fashioned, and I can't say it's entirely rational, but it's our family creed, and we do what must be done to protect it, because like I said, it's a source of pride. So that's the explanation. Before I came here, when I was looking up info, I never saw anything about her, because she hid herself. She hid herself on purpose to protect the pride of her family.
However...
And yet, I gave up some of that pride. Huh? In order to enter Hope's Peak, I had to reveal myself to the school. I did that knowing it was something a true Kirigiri detective would never do. But the reason you gave up on that pride, the reason you'd go so far, it was because of how much you wanted to reconnect with your dad, right? There's no shame in that.
What?
Reconnect? I had absolutely no desire to reconnect with my father. Huh? But you've been reuniting after all those years, right? You'd have so much you want to talk about.
Wrong.
There's nothing I want to talk to my father about.
However...
There is something I want to say to him, however. What? No matter what it takes, I have to find him and tell him face to face.
So...
I want to sever all ties with him. Sever? The last time I saw him, I was still very young, so I don't remember myself, but apparently he was extremely intelligent. He was in line to become the next head of the Kirigiri family. He was talented and had a promising future.
However...
But he had no interest in detective work, so he cut himself off from the family. Not long after that, my mother died, and he simply ran away. He went to my grandfather, and they had a huge argument. And young as I was, he left me behind. I'm sure there was a reason. I'm sure your dad wanted to take you with him. Makoto? Makoto, don't. Don't be like this.
Right.
If that's true, then I need to thank him. Thank him for leaving me. Because unlike him, I take pride in the work I do. I take pride in my family name. So every last part of me is happy he didn't take me with him. If I'd gone with him, I never would have had the chance to become a detective. I was above Kyoko on the ladder, so I mustn't have been able to see her expression. So I couldn't tell. I couldn't see how she looked when she said that, what she might be feeling. All I could tell was that compared to her usual self, she was more talkative and more emotional. I don't blame him, you know. He had his own life to lead. That's what anyone in my position would say, right? But it's not true.
However...
But there's one thing I can never forgive. Really?
So...
The way everyone else looked at me. I was never sad about being left behind. Like I said, I think it was a good thing.
However...
But when the rest of my family looked at me, they saw something different. They only saw me as the little girl that was abandoned by her father. That's how they see me even to this day. His shadow has been following me in my entire life. I'm sick of it. I need him out of my life. I need to step out of his shadow.
Correct.
That's why I have to find him. And to tell him that we're no longer family. In order to settle the past, in order to remove him from my life forever, I have no doubt he forgot about me years ago. But your family, to just cut him off like that...
Wrong.
Our only connection's through blood, nothing more. Are we connected by heart and soul?
Hey.
No. Is blood really enough to call someone family? Only connected by blood, not heart or soul? I was so shocked to hear something like that. I didn't know how to respond. So instead, I said nothing. I'm trying to remember which character it reminded me of. Oh, I remember. It was back in Bravely Default. Because Tiz almost trying to convince Kyoko that it was her father, and trying to impose, but he's your father and whatnot. I remember it was the thief fight with the thief dude in the Oasis in the ruins in Bravely Default, and Tiz is just sitting there while the thief is saying his parents and family abandoned him because they're assholes, which makes sense why he would turn out like a thief. And then he's goes, but you don't want to cut off your family. I'm sure they had a reason. And I'm just sitting here just looking and thinking about Tiz going, dude, no. Imposing your will on somebody else is stupid. And again, that's something I try not to do, or at least be aware of if I'm talking, because we all have different perspectives on things. I tend to see the good in people, but at least I'm trying to say, don't just, well, there's gotta be a good reason. No. Being too much of a goody two-shoes and not a realist can really cloud people's judgment. And to basically say to this person who's pretty much been downtrodden because her dad was following his own dream, basically saying, well, he remembers you, and no, he doesn't. You don't know that. He's trying to put words in Kyoko's mouth when Kyoko's basically telling him her entire story for the first time, I might add. And then Makoto, even for a second, just kind of no, that's not how people... Yes, that's how people can be. You just, sometimes your upbringing does that. And again, I don't know people like that. I had a good relationship with my family, but it's still you don't know that. People can have weird relationships with their family. They can be strained. They can be different. You don't know. So assuming that everybody's on the up and up and honest and reasonable and all that, that's imposing. That's imposing your view on someone else, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's kind of stupid. Anyway, so that's why I remembered Tiz for a second. Anyway, I just kept climbing the ladder in complete silence. What a thrill. In silence and darkness alight. Or whatever the words are. Ah! And I don't know after how long, we finally reached the top. Looks like this is it. On the other side of this door, Hope's Peak is waiting for us. We're back.
That's right.
Remember that hatch on the ground near the trash room? I'm fairly certain this is where we'll come out. I unlocked it earlier, so it should open without too much trouble. Well, here goes nothing. The hatch opened with ease, and so... Looks like we're back. I can't believe how long that ladder was. I'm exhausted. Can't exactly say we're safe and sound, but at least we're out of there. Now we're back in Hope's Peak Academy. Kyoko, thank you. I never would have gotten out of there without you. No thanks necessary. I was just returning the favor. So what do we do now? I'm glad I didn't die, of course, but if the mastermind finds out, and I'm worried about you. You helped me, so they might...
Listen.
You're worried? Of course.
So
Then let's just get a concrete answer.
in other words,
Let's ask Monokuma if there's a problem with you escaping. Wait, that's...
however,
If we try to hide, it's only a matter of time till we're found out. And it's not like we can run away. And as she said that, she pointed to a nearby surveillance camera. So you're saying rather than stressing out about this, we should just give up now? Don't worry. What you think is going to happen isn't.
because
The mastermind's the only one that's ensnared. The mastermind's ensnared? You said something like that before. What does that mean?
so
The mastermind stood exposed during the investigation into Mukuro's death. There was a moment when the mastermind let their guard down. That was...
right.
If we can talk to Monokuma, we can confirm it. And it'll be better for us if we get him directly before he tracks us down. That should help with our negotiations. I'm still a little, super uneasy about this, but we don't really have a choice, do we?
Indeed.
Monokuma should be in
Shall
the
we
gym.
go?
Let's get going. Yeah, this sounds like a good place to call it here. That was a pretty extended conversation. We learned a lot about Kyoko, and in case you're wondering, she is my favorite character in this game. And that scene practically confirmed it, because much like leading up to it, you kind of suspected that she was more important than she let on, and I'm very happy that they kind of followed through with it. I do wish that certain characters, because that's the problem I have with this franchise, is because the way the game is designed, there's always going to be like, I like that character, no, I like that character, no, that character's more important than this character, and that person's whatever. Like, the main people, blank slate, nobody morons. Like, Makoto's fine, but there's not much to them, right? And it's kind of the same for the other characters, and we'll see that. And there are times when there are characters I don't like, with a passion, stick around way longer than they should. Or there are characters that I really like, meet a quick death, or sometimes they last longer. That's, again, I'm not the one with the pen. If it was me, there would be some people that I would have gotten rid of. Like, yes, Byakuya is less ridiculous when he's being a complete asshole, as opposed to, well, nothing's working, what's wrong, why am I, whatever. There are still some characters I think are cool, like, Aoi and Kyoko and whatnot, but people like Yasuhiro, Toko is interesting in a creepy way, but like Yasuhiro and Byakuya, if it was up to me, they probably wouldn't have lasted this long. Just because I don't really think they're all that funny. I don't like them. I don't think they're engaging. And Byakuya is just an asshole to be an asshole. Like, yes, part of it's going to be his character arc. We haven't finished it yet. But whatever. That's just the way these games run and operate. But it also makes it tragic when you know that say if you like someone like Taka or Hifumi, I don't really go nuts for, or Chihiro. Chihiro lasted a little shorter time than I thought, and I think there could have been more you could have done with them, and I do think like other casts are better, but like all three of these games are kind of in the same boat, right? So, you know, having a character be that like important plot thread of like, we need you to stick the landing hard because we know that you're pretty much the linchpin of this entire thing. Like, if Kyoko was handled any differently, this game would not work. If Makoto was handled any differently, this game would not work. There are some characters I think are a little awkward and dumb, but again, I still think for what it's trying to achieve, you're balancing 16, 17-ish characters in a cast. Some of them make it, some of them don't, you know. It's trailing on the death game and escape game and whatever stuff. You're not always going to satisfy people. It's kind of like Persona. You just kind of make a bunch of characters and you hope that they're interesting, and by and large, by sheer fact of skill, they're usually pretty good. And then some elevate themselves high, some of them don't. And maybe someday, like, I'll mention, like, my favorite characters in a ranking list or something, but I did like it at first when I just kind of mentioned it in the intro episodes, where I was like, yeah, I like you, and boo. So, alright. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out there because Kyoko is awesome, and I've always felt that way, and I wanted to get that across if it wasn't already obvious from the get-go. Every time I talked about Byakuya being a fucking asshole. Anyway, that'll do. I gotta save it. I got shit to do. I made up some ground on these episodes and I'm happy, but I'm gonna make up more ground tomorrow. See you next time.